as for one-time encounter enemies, we get we get 3 Black Phantom NPCs, and one weird thing that is kind of a Black Phantom. So, we get Arheim, is kind of the first notable one, which this is the guy who will backstab you.
Yes.
If you are not careful.
This was my favorite of the bunch. I like this guy the most. That is to say that when he killed me, I was the least annoyed with being killed by him.
Yes.
He's an NPC who uses Chameleon. That's really awesome. So I thought that was very cool.
If you will notice, too, the chest that you open contains silver talismans for one-time chameleon use.
That's too perfect. And it's amazing that you would open that up, pick them up, and then get killed by him. I didn't, though. I was like, I'm going to go up these stairs because I don't trust that chest. And then he fucking killed me anyway, so...
I got backstabbed by him, but I did not die, because the character I was playing on was a ludicrous tank and was made of health.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I survived and managed to kill him my first time. And it's cool that he does that and he stealths and uses Chameleon, but it is admittedly kind of like a one-trick pony situation, because once that happens once, you will never be fooled by it again in that place, so...
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder, since you died to him, does he re-camouflage?
He does.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yep, he totally does.
Okay, we get 2 Black Phantom NPCs, and I didn't really find either of them to be interesting or really worthy of talking about all that much. Hexer Nikolai and Castaway Witch Donna.
I barely remember Donna. Nikolai...
You fight her on the bridge leading to one of the Lois Knights.
Yeah, Nikolai irritated me. I remember he killed me, and that pissed me off. But no, there's nothing really special about him.
Yeah, neither of those are interesting. Now, the final one, and I don't want to call it an invasion because it's technically not,
Yeah.
is Maldrone the Assassin's second appearance.
Under what circumstances does he eventually turn on you, assuming you don't attack him first?
I don't know, because I was wary of him, like, when... And admittedly, because I actually did die to him, I found him, and I was unsure about attacking him. I could target him. It was kind of like the, I don't know what is going on, I'm very nervous, sort of a thing, so I didn't necessarily want to attack him, but after a minute of him following me around and not attacking anybody and seeing that I could target him, I attacked him a couple of times, and he apparently has a few routines, depending on what you do. If you've opened the gate to get down to the Covetous Demon, he will run down there.
Oh god, what a dick.
Into the Covetous Demon's room.
Will the enemies attack him?
No, because it's the weird thing, because he is not counted as an invasion. He is counted as a regular enemy. If you use Seed of a Tree of Giants, he will actually attack invaders.
If you get invaded before you attack him, like, will he ever attack enemies for you, or will he just fool you the whole time?
No, I don't believe he attacks enemies.
Alright, never mind. That sucks.
Because I think he is classed just as a basic enemy.
Okay.
For the purposes of trolling you.
It's a cool troll. I didn't fall for it. I attacked him immediately, and it took a certain degree of frustration, and I was very upset and tired, but I did kill him. I hate him a lot.
Because I sort of led him around a little bit, and if you fight him and damage him and don't kill him, he will run away and hide in the pillars and heal, and then come back to you.
And then do it again, and
and
again, and again.
And, well, he did that with me, and he came back to me, and I, like, attacked him twice, and he didn't attack me after that. So, like, I hit him in the face twice, and he just stood up right next to me. It was like, okay, whatever. And then I walked, like, 10 feet away, and he just walked up and backstabbed me and killed me.
That's amazing. I seriously, I banned the Grand Lance. Oh my god, why? That weapon needs to be destroyed. Anyway.
On now to the boss fights of this DLC. So we have 3 boss fights here. We get Ava, the King's Pet, and then we get the duo of Lude and Zalin, who are also the King's Pets, and then we get the Burnt Ivory King himself.
Yes. A happy family.
Let's start with Ava.
Ava! I'm gonna be the outlier.
This fight is great.
This fight is great. I'm gonna be the outlier and say it's the best fight in this DLC.
I 100% agree with you.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah. Dark Souls 2 has a definite lack of beast fights and fights against non-humanoid monsters. This is not only a fight against a monster, this is a fight against a monster we have not seen in the series before. It is a fight against a monster that has a cool fighting style. It is a fight in an amazing arena, and it's just all around great. I like this fight so much, I would go as to say this favors comparably to Sif. I actually might like this fight more than Sif.
I like it more than Sif. I can say that pretty definitively.
At some point, I actually need to go into this fight when I don't have the Lens of Truth.
I was gonna ask actually,
because I haven't done that yet either.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't tried, but in the previous DLC there was a special little Easter egg for killing Sir Alon under certain conditions. I wonder if you can kill this boss while Ava's invisible. Is there some other kind of similar Easter egg or reward?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think this boss would be really hard to kill if you can't see it.
Yeah.
Because you can't see it and you can't walk onto it.
Right.
Which, it's not impossible, but that's pretty hard.
The fact that it is possible, I think, is amazing. I want to see video of that. I need to see it happen.
So yeah, as I said, I like pretty much everything about this fight. I have almost no complaints here.
Yeah.
I love that the best strategy for fighting this guy is to wait for him to jump towards you and roll towards him.
I agree.
There's something really, emotionally awesome about, doing the both charging at each other at the same time. I mean, it's basically, the dumb anime trope where the two dudes run at each other with swords and it's dramatic moonlit backdrop and then somebody falls down and dies.
Oh, yeah, it's like that, but with a tiger.
It's like that, but with a giant ice tiger on a giant ice bridge.
He has such a cool set of moves, too. He's got magic. He's got AoE stuff.
He's a grappler.
I haven't been hit by his apparent bite move that is supposedly really damaging.
Yeah, it's a grappler move. If he bites you 3 times, raises you up in the air, and slams you down against the ground.
Holy cow.
It's not as damaging as you might think it is. I think I had 40-something health on New Game, and I think it did about 3/4 of my health bar, but it'd probably kill you on New Game Plus and beyond.
Right.
So.
Okay.
But it's a pretty cool move. I like that he has his own version of Homing Crystal Soul Mass.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all in all, great fight.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
This fight is so good, I actually don't think I have any complaints with it.
I think I would agree, except for the fact that maybe it's not very balanced for co-op play. But as a solo boss fight, it feels perfectly tuned, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, this is definitely a solo fight. This guy fought co-op you just break his AI.
Yeah.
So before we get to the finale of the DLC, which is the Burnt Ivory King, let's go and talk about the other King's pets.
Same verse as the first, I guess. A little bit different. The most notable thing here is that obviously you're probably going to be playing it with at least one other person. I don't know what determines when the cats are locked onto what player. It seems like they almost cycle...
that is kind of iffy.
Yeah, it's like they almost cycle through players, not based on proximity or who's attacking them, but almost like it's on some kind of timer, which is strange.
Yeah, I am unsure as to how that works. I feel like they maybe could have added, a mark or something that the cats would have on you, so they would try to, specifically hunt you down one at a time or something like that. I think that would be cool, and maybe, just switch off at opportune times, or maybe add, 1 or 2 kind of tandem attacks. They do have a unique attack, which is their, cat Super Saiyan mode.
Yeah, oh man, fuck that. I hate that. that move's fucked up. It lasts for the whole duration of the remainder of their life, right? It doesn't expire.
No, it does expire.
Oh, it does? Oh, okay.
Yeah. They just heal, I think it's a percentage of their health bar.
Oh my god, I hate it. It's so annoying.
But yeah, as for the individual enemy design, pretty much all the same comments apply here that apply to Ava. We really like it.
Yeah.
But the co-op does make it in a different context, and I do think that is important, because I've been pretty critical about these DLCs having reused assets before, and I've said it's kind of a bummer to, get into this big, cool climactic fight, and it's something you already fought before.
Yeah, and I knew this was going to be something we fought before.
These guys, I don't think it's as much of a problem, because they are new enemies, so we have not fought them all that much. And fighting them in co-op is a completely different context from when you fight Ava on the bridge. So I feel like it's a distinct enough encounter, and I feel like, I would say, going back, I could kind of make that comment about some of the other fights. If we fought dual smelter demons in, a giant open room, that would have been a different context, and I probably would have liked that a lot more than blue smelter demons.
I agree, yeah.
So all in all, my standard complaint still stands of I would prefer new assets, but these guys aren't horrible.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good actually.
So then getting into the final, I don't even want to call it a fight. I think I want to call it a gauntlet of the DLC.
It is pretty sweet. This boss.
This boss and his cronies. Let's back up and talk about this whole encounter as a whole, too.
Okay.
So the gimmick of this DLC is sort of gathering the Lois Knights to help you fight the old chaos, which is... the setup for this is amazing, of going under the throne room, and you have 4 little mini thrones, and they all sit on their thrones and jump down along with you.
Yes.
The atmosphere of the old chaos is great.
Yeah.
And it is a very nice throwback to Dark Souls 1.
The sense of vertigo you have as you descend and you're about to land is intense.
Yes.
It is crazy. I mean, maybe even more intimidating. Okay, no, it's not more intimidating than falling into the abyss in Dark Souls 1, but it is a different kind of intense. I never thought that first time I fell into the abyss, I didn't think that could be matched, but this did a pretty damn good job of doing so.
There's something awesome about when you fall down and you're going down the little shaft, and then it just widens to reveal this whole huge area. That is just such a satisfying.
Yeah, the sound design hits at the right moments, and it's pretty scary. And the way the title appears as you're about to land, like it was all very well done.
And then, of course, there's the relationship between going down into the fiery old chaos after just having gone through all the frozen Elium Lois, a nice little dichotomy played up there. It's a pretty common one in video games, but hey, it works.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you do collect your Lois Knights here, because you need the Lois Knights for this fight. And, again, like I've said about a couple of fights, I do not think this fight is impossible without the Lois Knights assisting you, but they make it much, 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 much easier.
Yeah, it's clearly designed for you to explore and find them, and, the fight is designed with that in mind, so...
Yes, and the first portion of this fight is just fighting the Lois Knights. There's 3 of them. There's the dudes with the halberd great hammer things, there's the dudes with great swords, and then the pyromancers. Pyromancers, I think, are easily the coolest ones out of all of them. Because I can't think of many times in this series where there has been an enemy that was both a knight and a magic user. They usually kind of go for the either squishy wizard or hulking knight trope, and I think it's kind of cool to have a hulking mage.
These guys can't be backstabbed, and that sucks. But they're easy to parry.
It's weird, yeah. So, yeah, this whole area, it has a suitably epic premise behind it, and as we've said, the leading the Lois Knights in, it feels cool because it feels like you're leading like an army into battle or something like that. And unfortunately, I think this fight is made a lot worse by using human summons, because if you were able to drop down into this area with human summons at the same time and have it be like just a giant slug drag out fight with everybody, I think that would be cool. And you can summon people, but it kind of breaks the boss's AI, so...
I only summoned Lucatiel, and I couldn't resist. It was Lucatiel, I had to do it. And I was going to have 4 friends anyway, when the Lois Knights. So I summoned Lucatiel. I did not summon a human, though, and Lucatiel died pretty early on in the fight. So, Burnt Ivory King I still beat pretty much entirely on my own merits.
I have fought Burnt Ivory King both with people and without people. It is immeasurably better when you do not have people with you.
Yeah, I would imagine. I think it's also worth noting that even though I think the Burnt Ivory King fight is good, I would not say this in many other circumstances. It is the pre-game set PC spectacle here that makes this encounter as awesome as it is, not necessarily the design of the boss fight itself.
This is a pretty standard dude with a sword fight that is made to feel much more awesome because of how you're fighting him and where you're fighting him.
Yes.
If this was not being fought where it is, I don't think it would be anywhere near as interesting.
No, it is sensory overload in terms of everything leading up to this. The design of the fight beforehand, which is unlike nothing else, it's not like anything else in Dark Souls before it. And some of the imagery that is from the first game, like obviously the Bed of Chaos, which has very reminiscent Chaos designs stuff going on here, which is quite cool. Yeah, I think that there is enough stuff to accentuate this almost kind of fairly mundane boss mechanically. But the fact that I can recognize that and look on this fight, and I don't feel too picky about that. I can accept that and still appreciate it. It obviously did a lot of things right.
I kind of agree with all of that. Like, yeah, his actual moves, as you've mentioned, are kind of simplistic. I do think it is cool to have his sword go from being a tiny little sword to a giant laser beam.
It's pretty much the same gimmick as Alon, I think, where doesn't his sword also buff when he impales you with a certain move, I think?
It buffs, but it doesn't get longer.
Okay.
And this guy's sword gets longer, and he slightly changes his moveset, which is something we have seen before. Mm-hmm. But I still think it's done well. And in terms of his actual moveset, he is actually, if you pay attention to his moves, he is remarkably similar to Old King or False King from Demon Souls.
Really?
He has a lot of moves that are either nearly identical or are like the same move with a slightly altered property. False King has his giant wave that he charges up for a moment. Mm-hmm. Burnt Ivory King has a bunch of ice crystals that he charges up for a moment and does the same movement with. There's a lot of very similar stuff, a lot of like long-range charging strikes where he'll strike once and you just have to dodge it. Mm-hmm. So I felt it was pretty similar to that.
Yeah, he has some pretty mean attack strings too, like 4 or 5 hits at a time.
And very acrobatic attack strings too.
Oh, yes, he does. I appreciate his agility. Pretty cool fight.
And I guess kind of as a negative, he has what I feel is maybe one of the issues I had with Fume Knight, which was that part of the difficulty of the fight is that his sword just sort of becomes too good, and it's just a shield destroying, stamina destroying, you are not allowed to block anymore kind of a sword.
Yeah, I managed to beat him on my second try, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with how his sword affects blocking, and at that point in the game, on New Game Plus Plus, I had realized that blocking boss attacks was pretty much worthless anyway, so I...
Because my thing is always, I like playing through with a variety of styles, so, I'm okay if the giant enemy boss staggers my medium shield using character or my light shield using character. But if I'm walking in here with a great shield, and, he's doing still 50% of my damage through my shield, it's kind of like, well, that's a playstyle that I guess I can't really use for this fight. It's kind of a bummer to have to switch up like that.
Yeah.
So, Burnt Ivory King, I think we both like the situation around the fight, probably more than the boss.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it was the spectacle that made that encounter.
And, oddly enough, beating him is not actually the finale of this DLC. The finale of this DLC is farming these knights until you can get Alsana's soul.
Or you could just be a bastard and shoot her with arrows.
Is that what you did?
No. Fuck no.
So, the finale of this DLC kind of becomes this weird pseudo-covenant that's not actually a covenant, where you have to go back to the old chaos and repeatedly kill Lois Knights or lay down your summon sign, so you can get 50 of these Lois Knight souls, which progressively unlocks, like, the Lois Knight armor, and then you get Alsana's soul at the end of all that. I feel like, as a whole, this is kind of a missed opportunity, this section here, because there is no reason they could not have just gone full force and just straight up made this a covenant.
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, let me keep going here. Because I think there is a covenant lacking in this game, which is just straight up co-op fighting stuff. And I think, given lore-wise, that chaos is the source of demons, you very could have easily made a covenant set in the old chaos that was just arena fights with enemies from throughout the game.
That actually would be a pretty cool idea.
With, you can go down with other people in the Covenant and you just fight guys. That's how you get the Lois Knight souls that you can go trade with Alsana to get your Covenant items and everything. You could redo boss fights and stuff, because surprisingly the series has never had a boss rush mode before. I don't know why it hasn't, but it needs to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a decent idea for Covenant, and like I said, I think it's a missed opportunity, and I also think it'd be pretty easy to implement, because that is one reuse of resources I would not mind at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish maybe it could have been a little more of it, because just farming the Lois Knights for so long is kind of a lame way to do that.
I agree. But with other players, I guess it's not so bad.
So, now, finally, let's talk about the items here. Because this DLC... DLC has a lot of great items.
This DLC had the best items. We
So,
can just get
right off the bat, I just want to
Man.
say, favorite item here.
the Bone Fist.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah, Bone Fist.
Unquestionably a good item. I haven't made a character yet to main that item, but it is coming soon. Like, that's the next character I'm going for, is just Bone Fist. Dual Bone Fists.
Yeah, it's outstanding. It has such a cool moveset. It feels totally distinct. Maybe a little over the top, but we're this far into Dark Souls 2 in the DLC. I'm willing to forgive a little bit of silliness. I think it is wonderful.
Because you can see there is a Hadoken move from some of the animation pre-releases, and it's even in the screenshots. Like if you go to GameStop, the actual purchasing website, and you try to purchase a code, that's one of their screenshots they have is the player doing a Hadoken, and I am mildly disappointed that didn't end up being part of that moveset because I wanted to go full on Akuma. My other favorite item of the DLC, and in all honesty, I think I like it more for the implication of having a weapon that does this rather than the actual weapon itself, is the curved Nil Greatsword.
Yes, the weapon that scales with your New Game Plus playthroughs. Thank you very much for pointing that out to me while I was playing.
That is such a cool concept for a weapon.
Yes.
And apparently, as I understand this, this might be the highest damage weapon in the game after you've played through the game 10 times.
10 times. Good lord.
Yes, because it maxes out its bonus after New Game Plus 9.
God.
And it also has, I believe it's A scaling with strength and S scaling with dexterity. So,
Wow.
I believe after you've done all that to New Game Plus 9, it has an AR of 818.
Good lord. That is illegal.
Which, for a curved greatsword, it is a greatsword, but it is not a slow weapon.
No, yeah, it's pretty versatile.
So, I want to have a character eventually. I don't know if I'll ever get to New Game Plus 10, but I think having a character that can max that out would be pretty awesome.
Agreed, yeah, that would be quite satisfying.
So, just let's see, going down a quick list of some of the other stuff you can get in this. You get the Ring of the Embedded. This is a weird item, but it's a very cool item. Have you checked this out at all?
This is the one that gives you just weird sporadic benefits, I guess?
No, the Ring of the Embedded gives you stat bonuses based off of how low your stats are.
Never mind. Okay, I messed up. I mixed it up with a different item.
Yes, it is essentially designed for low-level playthroughs.
Right.
Because it will boost your stats if they are low.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very, very specific effect, but it's kind of cool that they added it in there. We get Azal's Staff, which is this game's version of the Insanity Catalyst or Manus' Catalyst. It halves your casts in exchange for making them dramatically more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's always kind of a cool weapon to have, and it has S scaling with Magic and Dark.
Which is ridiculous.
This is, again, I think you can easily do a build around this for, super hyper mode magic use. One-shot anything in the game with a Crystal Soul Spear kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or Great Resonant Soul. Let's see, keep going on the list. We got the North Warder set, which is Sage Frake's armor from Demon Souls, albeit in a much prettier version.
It looks great. I was very surprised with this, and I'm glad you pointed it out. I think it's a great design, or it's a great set of armor. So
yeah, this armor, this is a bit of an aside, but it's impressive how much these games have come in only a couple of iterations. If you put Sage Frake's armor as a picture on Sage Frake next to a picture of the North Warder set.
Yeah, on the same hardware.
The graphical advancement.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
It's amazing what more money and time can do.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Symbol of Avarice again.
Yes, the tongue has physics. It's really neat.
Yes. We get the item that I feel should have been in this game from the beginning, the Mira Hat.
Yes, I love this. I think it looks amazing, and I have not taken it off since I got it.
It's Lucatiel's hat, but without the weird, creepy mask.
Mm-hmm. I think the creepy mask is cool, but for some reason, I think they just modeled it differently from her character model to the way it appears on your own character. It's the way the cheeks protrude, it just doesn't look right on a character the way it looks right on her model. So that's kind of annoying. But anyway, the hat itself still looks great, and I don't mind that at all.
And then we get the boss weapons. And there's some other weapons or like gear you can get in this. You can get the ice armor, which is cool just from an appearance standpoint from the Lance Golem guys. And you can get like a few minor items, like the rapier that shoots magic and stuff. Nothing I really feel is like groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But the items you get for the boss souls. From Ava, you get a sword that is a lightsaber.
You get a lightsaber. Not very damaging, but it's pretty neat.
Not very damaging. It has drastically low durability, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of a funky little weapon. I can't really ever see using it for a main weapon because of all those drawbacks, but maybe someone will come up with something interesting for it. Maybe it'll be a good PvP weapon.
Mm-hmm.
From the Burnt Ivory King, you get his greatsword, which is also a lightsaber.
Yeah, I was initially surprised because like this seems awfully small for a greatsword.
But then it turns into a giant laser weapon.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I haven't really messed around with it all that much. I feel like it has probably the same problem because I think it's really, really low durability when you actually use the thing it is supposed to be cool at doing.
Mm-hmm.
Lud and Zalin each give you their souls, the two cats you fight out in the frigid outskirts, and they make a sword and a shield. From my understanding, other than looking kind of neat, they're really not special at all. I think the sword that gets made has really high dexterity scaling for its class. I can't remember if it's a great sword or a long sword, but it was kind of neat.
Okay.
And I think it's otherwise just kind of a normal sword and shield. And then the final item you get from this is the one you get from Alsana's soul, which is Ilium Lois. And it's just called that. It is a curved sword, and it heals stuff when you hit it. More specifically, it heals NPCs, and also your summons.
That's pretty cool. Even NPC summons, like ones that wouldn't generally be able to be healed?
I am not sure. I know it exists, and I've seen what it looks like, but I have not actually used it at all, because I have not gotten 50 Lois Knight souls yet. But it seems like a pretty cool weapon, and looking like at the stats page for it, it also seems like it is a legitimate like offensive tool as well, because it doesn't heal enemies, it hurts them.
Right, yeah.
So that seems like a pretty cool weapon to check out. Like, it seems like it might be one of the best curved swords, in addition to just being like having a cool gimmick effect.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's like an ice sword, which is cool.
Yeah.
There is actually one thing we have yet to talk about yet for this, and it's actually an item too. It's what happens when you take all of the crowns to Vendrick.
See, okay, I heard there was going to be a bonus for this. You finish all the DLCs, you get a neat little benefit or something like that. People were like, oh, I bet it's a new area, or what if you get a fight non-Hollow Vendrick? I'm like, I wasn't expecting anything like a new boss, or of course not like a new area. But I have to say, the dialogue you get from him is kind of neat, but it's a pretty underwhelming bonus.
The problem with it as a bonus, because let's face facts, like, having that as a pure PvE item for, like, I need to do something really hard and I don't want to go hollow a million times and use all my humanity, it's a pretty good, like, bonus. It's kind of a cool bonus. It absolutely breaks the lore completely, and the most disappointing thing about it is the crowns are horrible fashion souls.
Exactly, I was going to say, even if I'm, doing something where I'm not confident I'll survive, I would still not wear the buffed crowns purely out of vanity purposes. Fashion souls trumps all, so.
I would rather be a rotting, bald corpse than be caught dead in one of those gauche crowns.
I feel ya.
And yeah, then Vendrick is just kind of like sad and fades away. I do feel like they could have done a boss fight there because, hey, they did model new Vendrick, you are in an arena. I think it kind of would have been neat if you got your reward, like, Vendrick decided to attack you to try to get the crowns or something.
No, nah.
Having a Prime Vendrick fight would have been an awesome bonus.
I don't think so. Why? Why would he do that? He's accepted his fate. He has no reason to attack you. I totally disagree with that.
Okay, fine. We'll have to agree to disagree. I could get into a whole lore thing about how there was all this ridiculous, like, dragon giant soul experimentation shenanigans going on with Aldea and everything. How Vendrick screwed up a lot, and maybe he should have had a little bit more foresight. Maybe he wouldn't have been in the situation that he was in.
Right.
But that's a whole big conversation I don't want to have right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't think that he's... I think he tries to be good. I think that at the stage when you meet him in his memory, I don't think he is the character who would be greedy or vengeful and try and attack you. I think it is to the benefit of the lore and his character that he would not just be some boss fight for the sake of being a video game boss fight.
As I said, we will when we do our NPC conversations. This will be something we can we can go into. This is already going pretty long, so.
All right, we will see.
So anyway, final thoughts.
Quite good. I liked it a lot. Great boss fights, cool level design, even if it pissed me off in places. I would say Sunken, then Ivory, then Old Iron, in that order.
I would flip around Ivory. It is my favorite of the DLCs. As I said, that could be for the completely biased reason that I like snow levels. And that could really be the only reason I like this more than Sunken King. But, yeah, this is probably my favorite of the three. I feel it has the most cool new game-changing items, which is a big plus for me. It has what I think, and I know you just would probably disagree with this, probably the best boss fight in the DLCs in Ava, who I also think is probably just one of the straight best boss fights in Dark Souls 2, and probably one of the straight best boss fights in the series.
I would probably say Alana, then Alan, then Ava. A lot of E's and A's going on with those awesome boss fights, but yeah.
But yes, overall, really happy with it, and I am happy with this DLC to the point where I cannot really think of any huge major complaints that I have with it. I can think of a couple of things that I wanted to be better. I would have liked some of the backtracking to maybe be a little bit easier. I think it would have been cool had that final boss had just another little something to him to make that fight more interesting. And that's about it.
Anyway.
So that's going to wrap it up this time. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
We will be around next time, and I think next time we're just going to do a straight... I mean, we kind of did a little bit of it there, so I guess that's a preview, but we're just going to do a straight DLC breakdown. And just talk about what we like the best out of the DLCs, what we like the least, and just sort of kind of compare them and contrast them to both, you know, each other and Dark Souls 2 as a whole, and the other games in the series, because I think there's some interesting conversations you could have with the quality of this versus some of the quality of the other content.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but that is going to happen next time. So once again, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Alright, see you later, guys.